to my channel. My name is Ashley Margaret and I'm currently 18 years old and I am 19 weeks pregnant. Today I'm going to be telling the story of how I told my parents that I was 18 and pregnant, and then how they found out that I was having twins as well. I'm sorry if the quality of this video is not very good because I am filming it on my laptop instead of my camera. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, please consider subscribing, and yeah, if you would like to follow the rest of my pregnancy journey. So I found out fairly early on that I was pregnant. I found out probably about 3 weeks pregnant, maybe 4 weeks pregnant, and so me and my mom, we are very close. So with her, once, Pete on the stick, she basically knew. Like, she came over to my apartment the next day, and she found out then, and I told her. And my mom is very supportive, and she's very she's just great. So, but later, I didn't find out that I was having twins until I was 8 weeks pregnant, and I found out that I was having twins at my 8-week ultrasound. And unfortunately, my boyfriend was working, so he couldn't make it to the ultrasound. So my mom decided to come with me, and so I couldn't see the screen of the ultrasound technician. And when she said, Mom, you're gonna have a lot of questions, when she started because she did an internal ultrasound as well. So when she started that, she tried to do it on my stomach at first, but she couldn't see very well, so she switched to doing internal. But I think from the stomach one, she could already tell that I was having twins. So she said to her that you're going to have a lot of questions, and just don't, just let's wait till the end before you say anything. And so during the ultrasound, she types in baby A, and my mom jokingly, she says, don't let there be a B. Yeah, so my mom actually, she was looking at the screen and she saw that there was two, and her eyes just widened. She's like, oh my God, yes. So then it was a big shock. Obviously, we were, it was an unplanned pregnancy to begin with, let alone with 2 babies. So after the ultrasound, we're just sitting in the room and we're like, oh my God. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a whirlwind to get my own head around. And so I had actually, at this time, I had just been accepted into a couple of universities. And so I knew that my dad was not going to take the news very well, because he was excited for me to go to university and to do all these other things that, was the initial plan. But, plans change. And so I waited to tell him because I knew his reaction, and I knew that he was not going to want me to keep the baby, let alone 2 of them to keep the babies, right? So I didn't actually tell my dad until I was 12 weeks pregnant, and actually I might have been a little bit further along than that. But he didn't take it as badly as I thought he was going to take it, but he didn't take it well either. Yeah, so my parents are divorced, so that's why they kind of they didn't find out together, and and my dad has remarried and has 2 younger kids as well, who are, I believe, 6 and 7, don't quote me, something like that. And so he was very much so, I'm a bad influence on them, right? And so I think that's a lot of part of it, and I think he's very image-wise, he was very like, I have to tell all my friends that my daughter is going to have a baby at 18. Actually, I'll be 19 by the time I have them. My birthday is in July. I'm sorry if the lighting is also like really bad. I'm sorry if this is not a great quality video. But yeah, so he was not very happy, and it just, yeah. I think he's slowly coming around to the idea. There, I feel like the lighting just got a lot better. But I feel like he's slowly coming around to the idea, but he's still not really there. And so I actually told my dad while we were driving in the car, we drive around and look at houses. He's currently building a new house. And so we drive around and we look at houses and colors and stuff. Anyways, and so I told him while we were there, and eventually a couple weeks later, we told my stepmom, and she actually took it a lot better than we initially anticipated, which I think really helped. And I think they are slowly coming around to the idea, which, like, I don't think they've taken it great, but they haven't taken it as badly as I had thought, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I I think there's still a lot of, I think he's still very disappointed because he wanted all these other things and now I'm doing this and it's not gone the way he particularly wanted it to, like my life. And so for me though, it's, it is my life and I'm very happy, and I think that's really all that matters. And things are going to be a lot harder, but that doesn't mean that they're unattainable. So, um, yeah. And then after, most of my extended family didn't find out until I was about 16 weeks pregnant, so only a couple weeks ago. And most of my family lives a plane ride like 8 hours away, so it's not very close. So, yeah, not a lot of, like, I wasn't too concerned about telling the rest of my extended family or anything like that, like my grandparents. So, yeah, that's the story on how I told both my parents that I was pregnant and then that I was having twins. Obviously, when I told my dad, I told him that I was having twins, so he found out like both at the exact same time. So, yeah, that is the story. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you liked this video, please consider subscribing. Bye!